Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, the clock is ticking.
Itong ABS, mag-expire ang contract ninyo. I will make sure that you will remember this episode of our times forever.
As television network ABS-CBN seeks to renew its franchise.
Maraming pabor naman sa franchise ng ABS. Sino ba naman gustong mawala ang probinsyano sa telebisyon?
The country's top lawyer pushing to revoke their franchise.
Violation of the Constitution and the laws.
But can this be deemed as meddling with the functions of Congress? Agusan del Norte Representative Lawrence Fortun and Cagayan de Oro Representative Rufus Rodriguez join us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. Solicitor General Jose Calida asks the Supreme Court to revoke the franchise of television network ABS-CBN, the country's top lawyer accusing the network of violating the parameters of the legislative franchise given to them by the state. He adds that he wants to put an end to the network's, quote, highly abusive practices. ABS-CBN, on the other hand, insists they did not violate any law. Let's go straight to the sources of the story. Agusan del Norte Representative Lawrence Fortun and Cagayan de Oro Representative Rufus Rodriguez. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I can imagine this will be a very interesting topic. Let me begin with first, Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, your reaction on the petition filed by Solge and Jose Calida.
The petition has no basis at all. Rule 66 of the Rules of Court provides what is a quoranto. It says any person who first intrudes and then usurps and unlawfully holds or exercises public office, position, or franchise. That is the parameter of a quoranto.
Can you repeat the third one, sir?
The third one is unlawfully holding office or exercising public office, position, or franchise. Usurps, intrudes, unlawfully holds. Does not apply to ABS-CBN.
Why does it not apply
Because
when you say...
ABS-CBN has a valid franchise.
But when
It is not usurping any franchise. So that already removes it from a basis to file. Second reason why it is the Supreme Court has exactly no jurisdiction, because the grant of franchise under Article 12, the National Economy and Patrimony, Section 11 says, franchises for public utilities like television is granted solely through the powers of Congress. And when that power is granted, the Constitution provides the conditions, subject to the following conditions. These are the words of the Constitution. Subject to the alteration, amendment, or repeal by Congress. Since Congress was the one who gave this to a legislative franchise, only Congress can repeal that. The Supreme Court cannot repeal, cannot cancel, nullify franchises. That's very clear.
Basically, Congressman, you're saying that it's really only Congress who can give it and who can take it away.
It's in the Constitution, Section 11, Article 12.
Even if the Solicitor General is saying that
There are violations.
There are violations.
They go on administrative NTC cases, they go on criminal cases if there's violation of the anti-dummy law.
But if there's a violation, can't a franchise be revoked?
Only by
At all.
Congress because
Okay.
the legislative act.
Got
That's
it.
very clear. That's very clear.
Congressman Fortun, kayo po, your reaction on this?
Well, number one, I cannot agree more. No? There's no basis in Rule 66, as Congressman Rufus said. That applies only to usurpation, illegal intrusion, and illegal exercise or illegal holding of public office, position, or franchise. Number two, it's also in the Constitution. I agree. That's very clear, that the power to alter, repeal, and amend a franchise legislation resides in Congress as well. So, I really don't know the logic of this co-warranto petition. I haven't seen the petition yet, but offhand, I find this quite puzzling. Since the franchise sought to be revoked via this co-warranto petition, is about to expire in a month. So, parang by the time the Supreme Court sets to resolve the petition, the franchise would have already expired, and there is no more, technically, a franchise to revoke in the first place. But my greater apprehension is that, I earnestly hope that I am mistaken, is that this might be utilized as a convenient justification on the part of the Committee on Legislative Franchises to refrain from taking up the bill. Since the quo warranto petition essentially assails the legality of the current franchise. So they might use this as a convenient excuse na wag na lang muna natin i-tackle because there's a pending issue in the Supreme Court. So in the meantime,
May I cut you there? But why would even Congress think about that if there's no TRO anyway? Whatever stopped you from continuing hearing anything on any subject for that matter if there's no TRO?
Yeah, that's the point. There's no TRO, but the fact that this is a pending petition assailing the legality of the current franchise, Congress may just, the committee may just use this as a convenient excuse not to treat the matter because there's a pending issue.
I still don't understand why anyone would use that excuse when there is no TRO.
Because of the actuations of the committee. So they have not been hearing it. So now, this is a justification because they're not hearing it. They're not inclined to hear it. So therefore, now they would say, see, there's a Supreme Court. But no, that is not what we should do. Congress cannot abdicate the powers of the franchise repeal or grant or renewal. But tama, correct si Agusan Fortun. The mindset now of this committee is not to hear it. Not the more they will give you ammunition to say, let us not hear it anymore because the Supreme Court is there. Wrong.
Yeah. Because now, it appears to be whimsical and capricious on the part of the committee not to hear it. Now they have like an excuse not to hear it.
But on the flip side, it actually should possibly, sir, urge the committee to really hear this because of the quo warranto filed by the Soldier. I think it can be seen in two different ways. But I wanted to bring your attention, Congressman, on what you said, Congressman Rufus. Unlawful, how do you say that? Holding.
Quo warranto is any person which usurps, intrudes into, or unlawfully holds or exercises public office, position, or franchise.
Okay, I'll stop there. Yung pong unlawful holding of public office or of a new franchise, pwede ho bang sabihin ni Solgen, or can an argument be, there is unlawful holding of public office or franchise because there was a violation?
No, definitely not, because there is no usurpation, there's no unlawful holding because there is a franchise. So those only persons, like in the case of Chief Justice Sereno, the reason why there was a reason for the Solicitor General to file is because they allege, and although I don't agree, they allege that there is no qualification by the Secretary. So he is usurping the office of the Chief Justice. But in this case, franchise, nobody can argue that the ABS is usurping a franchise because they have a valid franchise.
Is it intrudes or usurps or unlawful holding of public? Or who ba yun?
Or. Yes. Unlawful holding means that you're holding something which is not true because you don't have a franchise and you're saying you have a franchise. That is the point there. Very clear yan. Intrusion, intrude into, usurp, or unlawfully holding. So if there's the violation, our Solgen should have filed it before Congress because we especially is now pending in Congress.
How can you file anything in Congress when you're not hearing it?
That's the problem. That's why. But still, his filing may be able to give the impetus to have the committee hear it because there's now a complaint.
Congressman, what can you do now? Both of you.
Well, we appeal to the conscience and sound judgment of our colleagues in the House to tackle the issue already. The filing of the quo warranto petition is an affront to Congress. We know for a fact that this is a power that resides in Congress to alter, to repeal, to amend the franchise legislation. And there is an action now in the Supreme Court that is actually an encroachment already on the prerogatives of the House. So, parang dapat ito ay maging collective position already of the House to already tackle the bills, at least tackle, no? We're not saying that we are going to grant it, to renew it, no? But at the very least, the matter should be tackled already by the committee.
Is that as far as you can go, appeal?
Well, because, it depends on the leadership of the House. That's why the chairman, I have talked to him twice already.
What did he say,
And he
sir?
said that wala pang signal sa taas. So that's the point. So we are
Wala pang
appealing.
signal sa taas.
Yes.
Sino, sir?
The speaker. Speaker Cayetano, definitely. We can be straight about this.
Am I supposed to, are you saying on air that without the approval of Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, hindi po didingin ito?
Yes, that is the situation. Twice na I asked the chairman and that is what he said.
Wala pang signal sa taas.
So therefore, we appeal to our good speaker. He has led us very well in Congress. Now is the time to insist on our powers. Otherwise, we lose by default. We abdicate our powers given by the Constitution.
Whose fault is this? Is this the fault of Congressman Alvarez, who heads the legislative franchise, or should you pin the blame on Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano?
We are not blaming anybody. We are just saying that it's about time, because there's still time. If we hold our hearings now, it can be finished. So we are appealing to our colleagues, especially the leadership, that this is a case where another branch is intruding the executive by filing. Then the Supreme Court by hearing it. No, we have to now act, because otherwise, if we don't act, it just means that, probably the other branches can do it.
So when there are some sectors who are blaming Congressman Franz Alvarez for not hearing this 10 or 11 pending bills, you
11.
11, you don't blame him. Is that correct?
I don't want to blame him, but I want to urge him to already hear it.
But you said that he won't hear it without Speaker Alan Cayetano's approval. So why urge the congressman when you're already saying that it's up to the Speaker?
I don't have personal knowledge whether there's an order on the part of the Speaker not to hear it. But the fact is, it's the obligation, it's the mandate, it's a ministerial duty, in fact, of the committee to hear this. 7 months have lapsed since these bills were referred to the committee. I don't find any reason why this should not be heard. Mm-hmm. It's a 65-year-old network, the oldest in the country, that has already become part of the everyday routine of millions of Filipino households, that employs 11,000 employees. Why can't we, at the very least, hear the bills out? I don't see the logic of suspending all of this, because the best way to address the issues is to talk about it in appropriate official proceedings, like that in the Committee on Legislative Franchises.
I want to bring this in before we go on a break. It was Speaker Cayetano in an interview on November 2019 who said, "People like me," I quote, "also have some objections about the extension. I'll tell you, this is my personal opinion." Okay? So, and then he says that when you have a speaker who says, "Meron akong sariling apprehensions about this," iniiba ko na po yung kanyang salita. How can you urge your leader, who previously said he's got issues about this to begin with? Is there some sort of conflict of interest here?
For more reason, Pinky, that this should be heard. For more reason that we should deliberate on the bills. If there are issues raised against the network, these are all better trashed out in appropriate proceedings.
Okay.
We don't talk about that in the social media or
In interviews.
through the media or anywhere. There are appropriate proceedings that should address the issues.
We'll be taking a short break coming up. What's inside the grounds, or what's in that co-warranto petition filed by the Solicitor General calling ABS-CBN's abusive practices? Representatives Rufus Rodriguez and Fortun will still be with us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guests today, Congressman Lawrence Fortun and Rufus Rodriguez. I want to get into some portions of the co-warranto petition filed by the Solicitor General. Let's put that up on the screen. First is, the Solgen statement says ABS-CBN abused the privilege granted by the state when it launched and operated a pay-per-view channel in ABS-CBN TV Plus. Yun yung box, hindi ho ba? Plus, the KBO channel without prior approval or permit from the national, sabi po without prior approval or permit from the National Telecommunications Company. Let me bring this in. What is the answer of ABS-CBN? All our broadcast offerings, including KBO, have received the necessary government and regulatory approvals and are not prohibited by our franchise. Could you help us, enlighten us here? Congressman Rufus, go ahead.
Precisely, if the issue is there is no permit from the National Telecommunications Commission, then that case should be lodged there. Because then they can be the one that will close this KBO. In other words, that if that is the basis, some violations, they go to the proper agencies. Now, the Philippine delivery receipts also, which will later you'll come out. It's a new criminal case because nobody can allow a violation on that and putting all of this there, which was done in Rappler. So, but franchise repeal, franchise grant, it is only Congress. That is precisely given by the Constitution. So, Solicitor General Calida should have filed criminal cases, should be filed administrative cases, and that is not cancellation of franchise.
So,
those are violations where he wishes to be corrected.
Where should he have filed the administrative or the criminal
It
case?
should be the NTC. It's there. Okay. Without prior. It's already stated there.
Dapat doon sa NTC.
Yung violation ng PDR, doon siya mag-file sa SEC. Sa SEC naman, nagsabi na like all the other broadcast medias, they have Philippine delivery receipts. Yes.
They have that on air,
They have that on,
actually.
yes.
But
They are not done voting. That's why they're okay.
Pag-usapan po natin si PDR after. Congressman Fortun, kayo po, what is your reaction to this, to no prior approval before the National Telecommunications Commission?
Well, just the same. These are not grounds for the revocation of franchise. Cases should be filed in appropriate forums, like the NTC or the regular courts for that matter. But definitely, this is not sufficient ground to seek the revocation of the franchise.
All right, let's go to the next statement. Pinag-usapan na rin po ito ni Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. The Solgen statement. Further, like Rappler, ABS-CBN had issued PDRs or Philippine Deposit Receipts through ABS-CBN Holdings Corporation to foreigners in violation of the foreign ownership restriction on mass media in the Constitution. And the statement of ABS-CBN Holdings Philippine Deposit Receipts were evaluated and approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Philippine Stock Exchange prior to its public offering. And this is not just a statement they made that we're showing you on air. There was actually a story yesterday on TV Patrol wherein the SEC had actually stated this. So, reaction,
So
Congressman
Res
Rufus.
ipsa loquitur. What is stated there? That there has been a securing of the authority to sell on the Philippine deposit receipts. The SEC has said that already, in fact confirmed, and also the Philippine Stock Exchange. These are the two regulatory agencies regarding the sale of such kind of stocks to the public. And so clearly, in that particular second ground, it's absolutely no basis at all. Now, the problem also here, Pinky, the Supreme Court is not a trier of facts.
Yes.
Because the Supreme Court is a trier of questions of law. This is not a question of law. This is a question of them submitting the facts. Oh, there is no approval. Then we also hear the ABS. There has been approval, SEC, NTC, and Philippine Exchange. So the Supreme Court should just really dismiss this outright. That's the best thing for them to do.
Congressman Fortun.
Well, I foresee the Supreme Court dismissing all of this, because again, there are no grounds. Yun nga lang, my fear is that when Congress holds in abeyance deliberation on the bills, the quorum of petition drags beyond the expiration of the franchise.
Correct.
So what happens is the co-warrant of petition becomes moot and academic, but the franchise expires. So effectively, if there is any practical purpose of this co-warrant of petition, is that it becomes a basis now, although baseless. It becomes an excuse not to treat the franchise, and pag nag-expire na siya, they might just utilize this as another excuse not to anymore act on the application for renewal because there's nothing to renew anymore. The franchise having expired already.
Yesterday, I know a number of congressmen were very vocal about this, actually crossing party lines.
Yes.
Congressman Rufus Rodriguez is part of the administration.
That's right.
Congressman Lawrence Fortun is part of the opposition. Minority. Okay. And then Congressman Lito Atienza even said, kahit araw-arawin kita, talking to Congressman Franz Alvarez, let's listen to what Congressman Buhay Party List Representative Lito Atienza said.
Franchises should be taken up by Congress, approved, disapproved. Hindi pwedeng enacted. Well, the next step that we can take, if he refuses to act, magbitiw ka. sa iyong pwesto dahil kung hindi ka makagalaw, you are frozen in your position, we will not be able to respect your position on the matter. Tomorrow, I will stand up again and remind the leadership.
Actually, on the floor, ang sinabi po ni Congressman Lito Atienza, kahit araw-arawin daw niya yun. Kayo ho ba may planong gawin yon to kind of pressure Congressman? It's still, what? Who is supposed to be urged? Is it Congressman Franz Alvarez or is it the Speaker?
Well, we urge the leadership, both the Speaker and the Chairman of the committee. But there's a recourse actually under the rules of
Which
the
is?
House, which is filing a motion to discharge. We should have the support of 1/5 of the membership. That motion is for the purpose of lifting or removing from the committee the bills to be tackled by the plenary directly.
I see.
So, but that should have the support of 1/5
Which
of
is
the
what?
members.
60 congressmen?
And
Yeah,
we,
more or
60
less.
of
we
300.
are now
yeah.
82.
When do you...
I have signed it already.
So-
that was prepared by Congressman Lagman. And we have exceeded there because before I gave a chance to, I don't want to take out from the committee. I didn't sign. But after this is happening now, and we only have 1 month left before March 11, I have to sign it already. And we have reached that particular number. Now, it will now depend again on Majority Leader Martin Romualdez, who is going to calendar that for approval by the House, the resolution.
So what is it called, Congressman Fortun?
It's called under the rules a motion to discharge.
Okay, so is the motion to discharge going to be useless if the majority leader doesn't calendar
That's
this?
correct. If they do not calendar, it will not move. Yeah.
Well,
Even if you have exceeded the 1/5 requirement?
What the rules say is that the motion to discharge is lodged in the office of the Secretary General, and it is there. It's there para antayin yung signatures ng 1/5.
Apo.
If the 1/5 is gathered, necessarily it should be calendared.
Even without the approval of the majority floor leader? Is there such a
Supposedly.
thing?
Majority
That's-
leader.
that's ideally what the rules say.
If the majority leader will not calendar, he has the absolute rule
Yeah.
which matter to calendar. If it will not
I
be
see.
calendar, it will not be heard. That's very as clear as that. So,
So it could be useless if the majority
Yes,
leader
if,
does not calendar
calendar it,
this.
it will be
Okay.
useless.
Again, we'll be taking another short break. We'll be right back. Okay, so something we learned that motion to discharge, but the congressmen were explaining to me during the break na kahit na meron kayong 1/5 of the 300, I would just put it 300 congressmen, which you exceeded.
Yes.
You have 80 signatures. This has to be calendared and voted upon by a simple majority of the House of Representatives,
correct.
which I'll peg at what, 151?
yeah.
That's 50% plus 1 of the members present constituting a quorum.
Dun
So
sa
not
floor.
necessarily
I
151.
see.
It could be 50% plus 1 of the 151.
Opo. Opo. Kasi, or pwedeng 80 lang kayong nasa floor. Tama ho ba yun? And 50,
No,
hindi,
you have
hindi
to have
quorum
quorum.
yun.
Has to
That's
be
right. You
quorum.
need a
Has to be a
quorum.
quorum.
That's right.
Has to be a quorum
So you need
first.
at least half of the total number
That's
of
correct.
congressmen present on the floor. And then you need a simple majority of that half
Those present.
to be able to pass that. How many days left do you have in Congress?
Exactly with today,
Session days,
it's 11 session days left, with including today. Because it's only 1 month. We meet from Monday to Wednesday. That's 3 a week, 4 weeks, 12. Minus yesterday, 11. That's the number. That's the exact number of days left.
What can you do this week? We're at Tuesday.
It would have
I
been
mean,
really-
apart from urging the Speaker and the Chairman of the Committee on Legislative Franchises, is there anything else you can do?
Well, we have to just really appeal first to the Speaker to let the committee call the hearings this week, tomorrow or Monday next week. And also for the Majority Leader to calendar the resolution that we have to discharge the committee.
Okay, I want to bring this in before we go and say goodbye to our guests. The President, obviously, not wanting to renew the franchise of ABS-CBN. He said this in at least 4 instances. I want to play 2 of those.
Itong ABS, mag-expire ang contract ninyo, mag-renew kayo, aywan ko lang kung ang mangyayari sa inyo. Ako pa sa iyo, pagbili na ninyo yan. Kasi ang Pilipino, ngayon lang makaganti sa inyong kalokohan. And I will make sure that you will, ang inyong franchise mag-end next year. If you are expecting na ma-renew yan, I'm sorry. You're out. I will see to it that you're out.
Congressman Rufus Rodriguez is an administration congressman. How does that make you feel?
Well, the president he has the right to express his opinion, and the fact that it's also true that ABS-CBN was not able to air some of his advertisements in 2016. But I believe,
How do you know that?
well, I've asked also the ABS-CBN on this matter. The president aired his national television ads of some amount, and it was all aired. Now, that one that was not aired is the one that was placed in Davao City because of the queuing. According to ABS, there was a queuing, and that was the second batch of advertisement was May 2. The May 10 was the last day of advertisement. Because of the queuing, it could not be aired. And so they tried to refund to the president. The president accepted about one half of that, but in the last tranche, they did not accept. So the president has always the right to express his own personal experience. But we in Congress look at the higher picture. We look at the constitutional provision under Article 3, the Bill of Rights. It states in Section 4 the freedom of the press and the freedom of expression, which is brought to the programs of the ABS-CBN.
Okay.
So that is a very important constitutional right of the freedom of the press. That is why even if I am with the administration, I would always adhere with the constitutional mandate of freedom of the press.
Last question. Congressman Fortun, do you think the president had anything to do with the Solgen filing the co-warranto petition against ABS-CBN?
Well, Malacanang, through Panelo, already said that they have nothing to do with that.
That's okay, sir. I'm asking you. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, I'm sad that this is happening. But my appeal to my colleagues in the House is to think, no? To consider that as members of a legislature of a supposedly democratic republic, we cannot wallow in a climate of fear, especially when basic fundamental freedoms and rights are threatened.
You didn't answer my question directly, sir. But all right, we have run out of time.
I'm glad you asked the question to Lawrence. Thank you very
Naubusan
much.
tayo ng oras. Thank you, Congressman Lawrence Fortun and Rufus Rodriguez. CNN Philippines is reaching out to Solicitor General Jose Calida for an interview on this matter, and we hope he grants us that interview. Thank you for joining us here on the Source on Pinky Web. You're watching CNN Philippines.
Ang galing ni Congressman Fortun.